Now, when I ask you this question, I want you to be honest. Are you a busy working woman, a mother perhaps, who puts everyone's interest ahead of yours before you even worry about your own health and well-being? Well, my friend, I have to tell you, sadly, you're not alone. A recent poll conducted by OnePoll revealed that nearly half of American women feel tired even before they comprehend the notion of exercise at 49%. Meanwhile, 47% of women say that they find the concept of exercise on a regular basis to be too difficult. 42% say they just don't have enough time in the day to squeeze their health and well-being into their schedule. And finally, 1/3 of American women say they just haven't seen enough results to remain consistent and regular with exercising, leaving them feeling insecure and hopeless at a rate of 12%. For my friend Sarah Carter, her passion and purpose is helping busy women create a sustainable and healthy lifestyle. She's a fitness trainer who says it is possible for busy working women to put themselves first while also caring for the people that they love. She says that women just have to get more creative and find a routine which works within their lifestyle. Carter says it all starts with the nutritional value that you put into your body, and she's here to help women all over the world stop the endless Google searches and stop trial and error and end your dependence on fad diets by working with you to develop a well-rounded nutrition plan which supports your goals and develop a workout routine for the gym or from the comfort of your own home. And Carter join me this week to tell me more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. So Sarah, if you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, and I'm super excited to learn how you help busy women lead more healthier lives. Great to see you, and thanks so very much for being here.
Yes, it's so good to see you, Kevin. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, Sarah, I know your passion and purpose is helping busy women live more healthier and more productive lives when it comes to their health and fitness by not even leaving their houses at some point. So tell me about the work you do and how it provides you both personal passion and purpose, my friend.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'd like to start by sharing the name of my business and a little bit of the story behind it. The name of my business is Swellness, and that comes from the two words sustainable wellness, kind of smushed together. And because when I look at what's out there for people as far as diets or fitness programs, a lot of the stuff that is available is very extreme, like very restrictive, extreme diets and crazy workouts where you're working out twice a day, or really intense things that most people can't sustain over the course of their life. So, my goal in Swellness is to teach women how to move their bodies and nourish their bodies in a way that not only supports their goals, but is also something that they can maintain over the course of their lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know your personal passion for this started when you were in high school because you say that fitness was one of the few constants in your life, my friend. So I'm wondering if you can tell me about the benefits you've seen in your own personal life and a little bit more about why this is personally important to you.
Yes, absolutely. I grew up in a family that was very active and outdoorsy. We would play sports like baseball, badminton, volleyball, you name it, out in the yard together. And when I was in middle school, I joined a cross country team and I just fell in love with running. And that was the only sport that I did while I was in school. And later in high school, I dabbled in some weightlifting and kickboxing and other forms of exercise, but I just really fell in love with it because I loved the way that it made me feel. I felt strong and confident, and so much so that by the time I was getting ready to graduate high school, I remember my mom asking me what I might like to do for a career once I graduated. And I remember telling her, I wish that I could just get paid to work out because I loved it so much. And even though it's many years later that that dream is starting to become a reality, it's definitely something that was birthed in me very early on in my life. And it's been really a rock for me throughout my years. And definitely through all of the ups and downs of life, I've been through some really hard times and some traumatic things, but my fitness routine and my workouts were something I could always count on. And it was something that was consistent. And even though, the world could be falling apart around me and it could be chaotic and crazy, but I knew once I got to my workout that for that amount of time I was in control and I felt strong and safe. And so fitness has definitely just been a huge part of who I am and something that I carry with me through all seasons of life. And I wish I could say the same for healthy eating. I have not always had such a healthy relationship with food. When I was very young, I was a bit overweight, and I remember my doctor making comments about it, and other little friends commenting on, me being fat and whatever. So I ended up in my teen years with disordered eating, and I ended up losing a lot of weight to the point where I was having some health issues. And it wasn't until a few years later, as I started to grow up and got out on my own as an adult, that I started to become curious about food and the effects that different foods had on my body. And I just started to learn about nutrition and what different foods would do for me. And the more I learned, I realized that the less fearful of food I became. And I stopped obsessing so much about how many calories does this or that have. And I started to shift my focus to how can I fuel my body in a way that supports my goals and takes good care of me. And as I began to shift that mindset, I began to be less afraid of food and see it from a place of function in my life. And with that came so much freedom. And I'm just very passionate about helping other women discover what that looks like for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sarah, I know you spend a great deal of time helping women sort of find the appropriate balance between good nutrition and the need to exercise. So, how do you think nutrition and the need to exercise are interconnected for women specifically? What are your thoughts there?
I would say they definitely go hand in hand. I think that you do need both a well-rounded nutrition as well as regular movement to see the best results. I like to describe it as taking care of our bodies from the inside out, because true wellness and health really begins inside, and that's why it's so important to to really take a good look at what you're putting into your body and what it's doing for you, and how it's going to reflect on the outside and make you feel. And you also need that food to give you energy to do your workouts and to show up in the world in all of the ways that we have to on a day-to-day basis. So I think they're both equally valuable and important in a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, to that point, Sarah, what does it mean to you for women to value themselves from a health perspective? What does that mean to you?
Oh, I love that question. I think a lot of women, as we are showing up for our families or our in the workplace or the church or our communities, our friends, we place so much value on how we show up for other people. But I think it's really important for women to value how they show up for themselves and to be very intentional about making that time to take care of them. And because it's just as important to show up for ourselves and to take good care of our bodies as it is for us to show up for those that we love and that we're pouring into each and every day.
Yeah, and to that point, Sarah, I know you work with a lot of moms who say that
Yes.
they don't have enough time to value their fitness, but I know that you strongly believe that women have to value themselves from a health perspective as well as finding balance for their family, because I know that you have this conversation with a lot of mothers on a regular basis. So how do you help mothers sort of navigate their responsibilities and their commitments to their family versus their commitments to their health? What are your thoughts there?
Yes, so I definitely understand that very well. I'm a mom myself and I work full time. I always have. And so I understand that there's a lot of things that pull on us each and every day. And it is very challenging to find that balance between our family life and also taking time for ourselves. And even though it is challenging, that doesn't mean it's not possible. I truly believe that for every woman, it is possible. Sometimes we just have to get a little creative in figuring out what that looks like for us. So, the number one thing I recommend when someone is trying to find the time to take care of themselves is to schedule that time, because I am not a planner by nature, but I have learned the benefits of planning and scheduling the things that are important to me and the things that I want to make sure that I get done each day. So I always say, go ahead and plan when you're going to, let's say, for example, work out and what you're going to do. Plan it in advance so that it's not so easily overtaken by other priorities that come up. And this doesn't have to be some extreme far out scheduling that you put into your calendar for a whole week or a whole month or anything like that. It can be as simple as just the day before going ahead and saying, okay, this is what I have to do tomorrow, and evaluate where can I put in time for making my healthy meals or getting in my workout, whatever it is. And go ahead and plan that. Just it can just be a day in advance, and just go ahead and know in advance when you're going to do it. And then that way you'll be more likely to follow through in the midst of all the other things you have going on. I always like to encourage people to, when you schedule that time with yourself, honor that commitment to yourself just like you would a dinner date with a close friend. If you make plans with a friend, you're going to show up and be there for them. And women are just as important as those friends and family that they're showing up for. So that's just a little tip I like to give to people to help kind of shift their minds around making that time for them.
Yeah, and Sarah, as you know, we're about to enter the holiday season, and a lot
Yes.
of mothers and a lot of women make it a New Year's resolution to value themselves from a health perspective, but they get in the sort of throes of life and they forget about themselves because they're valuing everyone else, as we've already discussed. So, how do you think we can create a consistent health habits for women as we enter the holiday season and beyond? How can they stay consistent in your view?
Oh, yes. I just released a newsletter kind of around that topic. And one of the best ways that we can stay consistent throughout the craziness of the holidays is to go ahead and set healthy boundaries. And by that, I mean guarding your time and your attention and sticking with that schedule, even when things get crazy, and be okay with saying no to things. We're not able to be all places at once. So I would suggest to anyone listening to take a look at the things that you have coming up, the invites to different parties or functions or festivities, and see what realistically you can do, and then be okay with saying, I'm sorry, I can't make it to this or that, because we only have so many hours in a day, and we need to make sure that while we're showing up for our friends and our family for all of these fun things, that we're also continuing to hold tightly to that time we set aside for ourselves. So I think healthy boundaries is key there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sarah, I'm still learning how to say no myself. I say yes to everything, and sometimes it's to the detriment of my own health. So I'm still learning. It's a work
Me too.
in progress, right?
Yes, yes. It's definitely a practice.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sarah, I'm curious if you can tell me specifically about the wellness, my friend, and the program itself and how it works, because I know people can do it either at the gym or in the comfort of their own home. So tell me all about the program and how it works, my friend.
Sure, absolutely. So my Swell Life program is, like you said, completely virtual. I use an app to deliver my clients workouts. They can access them there. And also their nutrition plan is plugged in for them so that they can easily follow along with what they're eating and track their meals and those types of things. And we also, in the app that I use, there is a direct messaging where my clients can reach out to me with questions that they have throughout the program. But then I also schedule in regular video check-ins like we're having right now, so that my clients can chat, we can track progress, and we can troubleshoot and say, hey, how's this working for you? Let me tweak this or change that, so that they really have a partner in their journey and someone that is there showing up to really make this the best experience for them. And to your point about doing the workouts at home or at the gym, that is 100% flexible. And with this format, my clients are able to choose when they do their workouts. So that way, when things come up, if they need to shift the time, it's totally up to them and can fit on their own schedule.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Sarah, to get your definition on how you define healthcare accountability. What do you think being accountable to your health really means to you?
Oh, that's a good one, Kevin. I would say, first and foremost, we need to be accountable to ourselves. And because when it comes to really any lifestyle change, but sticking with, living a healthy life and taking care of yourself, you have to look at it from the mindset of doing it for you, because we can't be doing these things for other people. I don't think that's sustainable. So I think we first and foremost have to have the mindset, I'm doing this for me because I want the best for myself. But then also, it's okay and necessary sometimes to bring others along that journey with us. And I think that having a partner in whatever it is you're doing, whatever lifestyle change you're looking to create, it is very helpful to have someone doing it with you, because while you're accountable to yourself, it can also be easy to tell yourself, don't worry about it. You don't need to do that. So it is really good to have those close relationships, even if it's just someone that can hold you accountable, but also cheer you on. Sometimes we can't we don't really see the wins and the success that we are making. So it's helpful to have someone looking from the outside in to remind us, keep going, you've got this, you can do it, keep showing up for yourself. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, and I'm also curious to ask you about developing a relationship of trust with your clients because, when you run a fitness business, if you don't have trust with the people that you serve, it's harder to get them to invest in the process of themselves. So tell me about developing a relationship of trust with your clients and how important that is.
Oh, yes, that is very important. I would say totally agree. Trust is the number one thing that we need from the start in order for the coaching to really be the most effective because, especially when it comes to your fitness and your body, that's a very vulnerable position for a lot of people to be in, especially women. We're talking about our weight and things like that may be very uncomfortable for a lot. So I absolutely want every client that I work with to feel comfortable and to trust. And one of the ways that I do that is just from the very beginning, I seek to find out exactly what my client needs from me instead of saying, here's what you do, XYZ or whatever. I first get to know them and I want to learn about them and hear their experience and their struggles and figure out where they're coming from so that I can then develop a program that best supports them and meets their needs. And so I definitely agree, like developing that trusting relationship is super, super important. And it's something that when a client trusts me with their health and wellness, it's something I don't take lightly, and I'm truly honored anytime someone allows me to be on that journey with them.
Yeah, and Sarah, we met because we hired the same business coach, our
Yes.
mutual friend Jordan Mendoza. And I'm curious to get your perspective on running a business as a woman. And what does it mean to you to be successful in business as a woman? And how did they get evolved, my friend?
That's a great question. Yes, it is. Running a business is a crazy thing, as I'm sure you know. It is definitely one of the most challenging things I have ever done, challenging and rewarding too. And as a woman, like I mentioned earlier, I have a daughter, I have a husband, a family, and I'm very involved in my church and my community. And I also, in addition to my business, I still have a full-time job for someone else that I do. So it is a lot. And I think, the idea of success in business, it's a little bit different for each person, but in my opinion, I feel like if I am making a difference in the lives of those that I work with, like that is number one success to me. Like there is nothing more just encouraging and that puts a smile on my face when I can hear a client say, oh my gosh, this is working. I see this result, or I'm feeling this way, or oh, my clothes fit better, or I can stand up straighter, my core is tighter, and I'm feeling stronger. Like all of these things, like that to me is a huge sign of success and something that just makes it all worth it. All of the work and all of the struggle, just well worth it.
And absolutely, and I know that you're still on a continuous journey on how to optimize all the social media channels that are out there to market a business. So I'm curious, what have you learned about marketing a fitness business, specifically on social media channels like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and what seems to work best for you, my friend?
Oh, yes, that has definitely been a learning experience for
It's
sure.
it's been a journey, hasn't it?
Yes, it has, and it continues to be, and it's somewhere that I still am learning. Even today, I learned something as I was making a reel for Instagram. But I would say probably the biggest thing that I've learned, which I'm sure you have heard this too from Jordan, since he's such the most amazing business coach, is to keep showing up. when it comes to social media and using that to market your business, it is definitely very important to keep showing up, to keep sharing, to keep educating, to keep posting things that are specific to your niche and your ideal client, and to keep doing it even when it feels like, man, nobody's seeing my stuff, no one is liking it or commenting or whatever it may be, to not get discouraged by that, and to just keep showing up, and to stay in your lane, keep doing what you know you're called to do, even when it's hard. And it does pay off. It just may take some time, but it definitely is the way to go when it comes to the social media and marketing and all of that.
Yeah, and I know you brought up your newsletter earlier in our conversation, and I know it's filled with a lot of great fitness information. So tell me what goes into your newsletter and what can people expect from a content perspective if they subscribe to the newsletter.
Yes. So my newsletter, it comes out every other Tuesday. I release a new one, and I do cover fitness topics. So things about working out, and also nutrition and recipes. But then I also like to incorporate topics around just general healthy living. So general like lifestyle tips, things like healthy sleep habits, hydration, self-care, mental health. So I kind of alternate between those topics so that people get a well-rounded idea of how to create a healthy lifestyle. But also I like to include in each newsletter simple, actionable steps that my readers can take and incorporate into their own lives in an effort to help them create that sustainable, healthy lifestyle for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you also tell women is that it's important for them not to be afraid of going through a diet change because they are afraid of counting calories. So I'm wondering if you can elaborate more on that for me.
Absolutely. So I think that a lot of us, especially that are adults now, we grew up in a pretty messed up diet culture that was saturated with, you have to count your calories if you want to, definitely if you want to lose weight. And if you want to eat healthy, you have to count calories. And it was just, very unhealthy. I feel like the view of food that a lot of us grew up with, and calories are bad and less calories is good. And so I feel like a lot of us have grown up with an unhealthy mindset around food. And while there is a time and a place for counting calories in some situations, you absolutely do not need to do that to make healthy changes to your diet. A few things that I have done in my own life that I like to recommend to people that don't revolve around calories is cutting out or just limiting the amount of processed and packaged foods that you eat, because those just tend to contain very little nutritional value. And they do tend to be very high in calories. They're easy to overeat. So to cut back on the processed foods and then focus on eating more of the whole foods. And whole foods just simply means, I like to describe it as the food as close to the original form as possible. So eating, for example, like apples instead of applesauce, which when apples are processed into applesauce, a lot of times there's added sugar and preservatives and things like that. So I just like to use that as an example of what a whole food is. But if you can shift your diet to consuming more whole foods, you're going to get more nutrition, and a lot of the whole foods you can actually eat a lot more of with less calories than the packaged foods. So those are just like a couple simple swaps. Another thing that we can do is to prepare most of our meals at home, just because when you eat out, number one, the portions are often enough for like 2 to 3 people realistically. And then number two, you don't know really what goes into a lot of the food when you order out. So if you're able to make your food at home, you have more control over what goes in it and how much you consume. And then just one more quick tip I like to share is to make sure you're eating 3 meals a day. with one or two high protein snacks in between. I think a lot of people that I've talked to, they tend to wait until they're really hungry to eat. And unless you're doing what is it, like an intermittent fasting diet or something like that, a lot of people, if you wait until you're, starving, it's easy to overeat. So you just grab everything in sight. But if you can counteract that by eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, that will help you to just stay on track and not overconsume when you do finally get around to eating.
Yeah, absolutely. And since you brought up portion sizes, as you know, Sarah, I live in Canada, but I travel to the States a lot for family and speaking engagements. And
Yes.
I have to tell you that portion sizes in America are a lot different than they are in Canada, my friend. So
Really?
I'm curious, how do you think we can get people to eat a healthy portion of food where they feel full and they don't overeat at the same time, my friend?
Ah, that's a really great question. So if you're, let's say you're eating out, for example, one of the ways that you can do that is if you're with other people, see if someone is willing to split a meal with you. And then that way, when it comes, you can just divvy up the food and you both end up with a more realistic, healthy portion for yourself. Another thing is, if again with eating out, is to just know in advance, like, hey, when it comes, if it's really huge, just take some home or take some back to your hotel or wherever you are. Be willing to just say, I don't have to finish all this right now. I can take the rest with me. And then another thing, if you're at home and you're still trying to figure out the right portion size, something that I do is a lot of us have like the big dinner plates and then the little smaller ones. So I'll just grab one of the smaller dinner plates and portion my food out that way because it's a lot easier to fill up the really big plate. And I'm like, whoa, my eyes were bigger than my stomach. So if I start with a little bit smaller plate, it's easier for me to stick to what I actually need.
Yeah, and from a business perspective, Sarah, you also tell women that it's important for them not to give their dreams an expiration date. And I thought that was so profound, my friend. So I'm wondering if you can elaborate on that for me.
Yes. So that is actually something that I have to tell myself and remind myself of constantly. And I was thinking about my business one day and how a lot of us, when we have these dreams and these big life goals, without whether we realize it or not, we kind of gives ourselves an end date. Like if I don't reach this point by this day, I'm done. I can't do this. But with a lot of lifelong goals, we have to let go of the idea of instant gratification or overnight success or things like that, and just be willing to play the long game and to keep showing up day in and day out, even if we may not be where we think in our minds that we should be, because those lifelong dreams, they, were given to us for a reason, but they do take time. And so we have to be willing to put in the effort and to not give up on ourselves because we're worth it. God gave us those dreams and desires for a reason. And I think it just really helps if we can shift our mind from that mindset of instant gratification, because our culture is just so consumed with having everything, at the touch of a button. We have food delivered to our houses, like everything is just so accessible instantly. But when it comes to our dreams, a lot of those take time. So I think we just have to shift our mindset and not give up.
Absolutely, Sarah, we've reached the point of the interview where I get to ask you my favorite question on the list. So here it goes. I'm a sucker for pancakes, Sarah, and I know that you're a huge believer in those protein pancakes, and
Yes.
it can help women gain 30 grams of protein daily, my friend. So tell me all about pancakes and how much I can consume, my friend. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, I love pancakes too, Kevin. They are so yummy. So I love there's a brand called Kodiak Cakes. I'm not sure if they have those up in Canada. I'm not. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they have protein in them. There's other brands out there. You could just look for protein pancake mix. But I love to make those for breakfast. And I actually too. I think the box itself or the mix itself has about 15 grams of protein. But if you add an egg and then a scoop of protein powder, I like to use vanilla and mix all that in, that doubles the amount of protein and gets you 30 grams of protein. And it usually makes about 2 pancakes. And I like to dip mine in maple syrup because that's just so yummy. I don't know about you. Do you like maple syrup on your pancakes?
Of course, I'm Canadian. How could I not be Canadian and not like maple syrup, right?
I thought so. Yes.
Absolutely. And, Sarah, I don't know if you know this, but October is actually the National Disability Employment Awareness Month, my friend. And, I spend a great deal of time talking to businesses about the importance of hiring folks with disabilities. But I also think entrepreneurship is a great avenue for folks with disabilities. So tell me your thoughts on the importance of amplifying individuals who look like me in the workplace, my friend. What are your thoughts there?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I did not realize that October was all about people with disabilities and celebrating those in the workplace. I think that is beautiful. First of all, I love what you're doing, Kevin. You are so inspiring. And I think that your impact and influence on others, especially those, looking to find their place in the world and in the workforce who may have disabilities. I think that you are just a champion for them. So keep doing what you're doing. You're so inspiring. And, I think that people that have disabilities, they're people just like the rest of us. We all, are different, and a disability of any kind shouldn't hold you back from living your best life and being a part of everything just like everybody else. Like, we're all human, and everyone is valuable. We're all made in the image of God, and everyone has value and is worthy exactly the same.
Yeah, Sarah, I tell people that there's no 50% off policy when you have a disability, right? It's not like you can take it back to the department store and
Right.
return it, right? So,
Yeah.
and people with disabilities, they have to pay taxes too, right? So they have to work, right?
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. And Sarah, I know in your spare time you enjoy your activities at church and hiking and doing everything outdoors, my friend. So when you're not helping clients, what brings you the most passion and purpose and fulfillment, my friend?
Oh gosh, yes. So I do love to spend time outdoors. I still love to go walking. Where I live, we've got lots of really nice parks with paths and trails. So I love to be outside. Being outdoors is just really where I feel the most at peace. And I just love it. It just really fills my cup to be outside. That probably stems from back in my childhood. Like I mentioned earlier, we were always outside, and being in nature is just really peaceful for me. So I love to be outside. I also love to read. I love mysteries. I'm always like, want a good book, who done it, try to figure it out. And that's just a way that I can help, recharge and unplug from all of the craziness of life.
Yeah, and Sarah, I'm going to end with a two-part question. And I'm curious to ask you about your definition of women empowerment and what that means to you when you look at your own personal and professional legacy. And how do you think we can all work together to create what I call more bridges of unity? Because, I believe if we work together, we can solve problems. So what are your thoughts on creating more bridges of unity? And how can women empowerment sort of fit into that equation? What are your thoughts there?
Wow, that is a good one. The first thing that comes to mind, part of, I guess I could say, for lack of a better term, being an empowered woman is being willing to speak up for yourself and advocate for yourself and raise your hand when you need help. And I think that, because a lot of, especially women, we're bad about this. We carry everything, and that even things that are not ours to carry. And we're so bad, or at least I am, about asking for help. But I think that the more we grow and the more we can communicate our needs as we're helping others meet their needs, I think that could definitely bring a lot of unity. And because a lot of times, other people may not know when you're drowning and you need help. So we have to get better about saying, hey, can you help me with this? Can you take on this? Or setting those boundaries. Hey, I can't do this right now, or whatever it may be, because then we're being our true selves and we're allowing others to see our true selves. And in that way, I think we can be a lot more unified and work together, because if you're trying to shoulder everything, no one can come alongside and help you. So I think being willing to ask for help and being vulnerable and open with those around us would definitely go a long way in cultivating a culture of more unity and togetherness.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about your own legacy, my friend? If someone and you have a great deal of respect for was asked to give a toast about your life, what do you think you would want them to say about you, my friend? How do you want your legacy to be defined?
Oh, I love the way you put that. Number one, when I think about my legacy and what I'll leave behind, is that first and foremost, I want people to have known the love of Jesus through me, because he is God has done so many miracles in my life. He's my rock, and the only reason I'm talking to you today, quite frankly. And so I really try to communicate his love to everyone that I interact with. And then also, I want people to know that they're seen and heard, and that they have value, and that they are worthy to take up space in this world. They're worthy to take care of. They're worthy just as they are. So those are, I guess, kind of the things I want people to remember about me, and the way I hope that I can help people feel when they meet me and get to know me.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, Sarah, tell me if people want to get connected with you personally or professionally, what's the best way they can do that?
Oh, yes. So my website, I have all my information on my website. It is swellnessllc.com. So just, it's like S and then wellnessllc.com. Everything, all my contact information is there, my email. I'm also on Instagram. Swellness LLC is my handle there. And also on LinkedIn. I'm very active there as well. Sarah Carter is my LinkedIn. And I do have a business page for Swellness there too.
Fabulous. Well, Sarah, I was delighted when you agreed to engage in conversation with me on the podcast, my friend. I'm smarter for having this conversation. I want to thank you for agreeing to engage in conversation, but also all the good work that you are doing to help women live a more healthier life. Thanks for a few minutes and engaging in conversation. It's most appreciated.
Oh, yes, Kevin. Thank you so much. It is such an honor to be on your show. And I just really, really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.